Hey explorers, Kid Explorer here, and today I am here to give you my France Travel Guide 2024. Yes, I'm here to tell you all the things you need to know before you go to France in this video. So we're going to talk about things from the currency, food, places to stay, and focus on Marseille, Paris, and Lyon, safety, things to be aware of, all types of things in this video. If you want to learn about a particular section of France, you can go down to my chapters, click on that, and it will send you to that part of the video. But otherwise, stay all the way to the end so you can get all this information before you go to France. Especially, the Olympics are coming up. If you're going, you need to know these things, okay? So let's get into today's video. Before we do, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It is free for you to do so. It helps me provide more and better content to you in the future. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Now let's get into today's video, my France Travel Guide 2024. First up, let's quickly talk about the currency. In France, they use the euro. That's what they accept. That is their currency. If you pay in any method, you're going to be paying in euro. So don't be that person going up in France and be like, can I use my US dollars? Don't do that. I had someone do that with me before and it was embarrassing. Don't do that. You can get euros by ordering money in advance. If you're in the US, you can go to like TravelX or something, get money in advance, get money from your bank. You can take your local currency, exchange it at the foreign exchange booth at the airport, or you can take your card and get money out of the ATM machine. Electronic payments are widely accepted in France, so you can use your Visa and MasterCard credit cards. Restaurants, stores, whatever, widely accepted. No issues there. So let's talk about the food. So each region has different type of foods that they specialize in, and you're really in for a culinary experience when you go to France. I do hear people complain like France has horrible food. France knows how to control their portions way better than we do in the US, and they're not always filled with unnecessary things that we have in our food here in the US, at least not yet, or not as much. Because I never feel full when I go there, and food is always really fresh compared to what I experience in the United States. With that said, each region does have its own food. So if you go to Marseille, you're gonna be looking at bouillabaisse, which is that fish soup, a lot of seafood there. It's right along the Mediterranean, and they do have North African food influences there. While I was in Marseille, I actually tried Tanzanian food for the first time, and it was delicious. Now, if we go up to Lyon, Lyon is actually known as the gastronomy capital. It actually has the most Michelin-starred restaurants. I believe well over 20 Michelin-starred restaurants are around Lyon. And you can check out those different restaurants if you're interested in Michelin-starred restaurants on Michelin's website. Now, as for some foods while you're there, I went on a food tour while I was in Lyon, and I tried this wonderful bread that, oh my gosh, I ate too much of it, honestly. You will see a lot of cheeses and meats while you're in Lyon as well. In Paris has a lot of high-end culinary experiences and a lot of like steak tartare if you're out for dinner, but they're really known for their baking, croissants. You have to have one in France, okay? And if possible, take a baking class because then you get it fresh, okay? Definitely have some pastries while you're in Paris. Okay, before we move away from the food, let's talk about restaurants. There's a plethora of restaurants in all these cities of Lyon, Marseille, and Paris, and outside. But I'm going to just name drop a few. I don't have restaurants to drop in Lyon because the one I went to, I don't know what's happening. I looked it up on Google recently. I don't see much information about it anymore, so I don't know what's going on there, so I'm not going to recommend it. And while I was in Lyon, I was mainly there on a river cruise, so I ate on the river cruise. It was included in the package. Why pay extra when there's food already paid for? Anyway, in Paris, you have to go to Gumbo Yaya. Best chicken and waffles I ever had, Black-owned restaurant in Paris. There's also other fabulous restaurants like Sacré Fleur. You have a really nice experience when you go into the restaurant. There are so many restaurants in Paris. I could go down a list of them already. I've been there 3 times, but definitely try out Gumbo Yaya and Sacré Fleur. Now, if you're in Marseille, remember I mentioned to you that Tanzanian restaurant? You have to go there. Food was impeccable. It really made us feel like a family experience while there. The name of this restaurant is Chez Asie. So just check it out and have a fabulous experience at this restaurant. Next up, let's talk about getting around France. So I believe in France, they have a law where you cannot fly somewhere that is 2 hours or less. But their train system has a lot of options. Unlike in the US, we don't have a lot of rail options, right? So if you want to get from city to city, town to town, even the small towns, take a train. You can book train tickets through SNCF, and it's really affordable. SNCF will definitely get you where you need to go. I took the train from Paris to Marseille, Marseille to Arles, and Lyon to Paris. Never an issue, very affordable. And it saves you time and emissions and not going through all the hustle and bustle of the airport. If you're inside a city, so if you're inside Paris or Lyon or Marseille, you can look at different other local transit options. There's definitely subways in Lyon and Paris, very affordable, will get you around the whole city. If you're in Paris, you do need to pay attention to the zones because they have a lot of different zones. I think it goes up to 5, I believe. And you could buy a pass for like zones 1 through 3, or a pass that includes 4 and 5 and stuff, and the cost is gonna vary, but you need to make sure because you don't wanna use that ticket and you get off at the wrong zone and you didn't pay for it. Also in these cities, there's ride sharing is definitely available. So you can just pick up your app, your Uber app, and request an Uber if you need to. Also, you're gonna find buses in each of these cities. So Marseille, Paris, and Lyon, you'll be able to find a bus. And I like where in Lyon and Paris, it's easily connected into their metro station. Also the passes, at least in Lyon, the pass that I bought, a whole day pass, and I could get on all their public transit. Obviously, again, Paris, you gotta look through all the details because you need to buy the right ticket. Lyon, the ticket purchasing is not as expensive as in Paris. Also in Lyon, they did have transit by boat just across the port. So there's a nice little port, like a harbor, right in the middle of the city. And they created a quick ferry to cross it so you didn't have to walk all the way around, particularly for elderly, but anyone can get on it. Very cheap. I think it's not even like €1 to get on, to go one way. Also in Lyon, if you want to get up to the mountaintop, they do have a cable car, which is also included in the Metro Pass that you buy for their entire system. And of course, you can always pay to rent out one of the bikes along the street or just walk. Oh, and lastly, you can always rent a car. I don't know much about renting a car. I don't rent cars when I go on vacation, so there's that. So there are a lot of different ways to get around in France. And obviously, it's going to vary based on which city you're in or if you're in a smaller town. So let's talk about some top things to do while you're in France per each city. Obviously, each of these cities have a lot of things to do, but I want to talk about some of the top things that I have loved, that I have done in recent years that you should definitely check out. If you're in Paris, definitely go on the Black Paris tour. It's definitely a great historical reference, and the guides usually give you a lot of different things about navigating the city while you're on the tour. If you have a chance, take a baking class and get some great tips and knowledge on how to bake the perfect croissant. Also, which I haven't been able to do just yet, because the first time I went to Paris, this structure had recently just caught on fire. Visit Notre Dame is actually reopening this year in 2024. So visit it and check it out and see the wonderful cathedral. Also, you can go to speakeasies. I actually went on a speakeasy tour, which included a speakeasy called Mezcaleria, which specializes in Mezcal drinks in their speakeasy. It was really cute, but there's a lot of speakeasies and underground places. And Paris also has a plethora of museums. You have obviously the world-renowned Louvre. If you go to Louvre, make sure you have a plan when you go. I had a plan, so I was not overwhelmed. I knew what I wanted to see, what I wanted to do. If you don't have a plan, it's going to be overwhelming. You also have Musée d'Orsay, which is not huge. If they have a great exhibit, definitely go there. But there are so many other museums I haven't even went to in Paris, and there could be one just for you. Lastly, if you want nice views of Paris, don't go up in the Eiffel Tower. Unless you want to say, I've been in the Eiffel Tower. You want to go to the Montparnasse Tower. It gives you an excellent 360 view of Paris, and you also can get amazing photos of the Eiffel Tower. Now let's talk about Lyon. Lyon has a lot of things to do as well, not as much as Paris. Smaller city, but still big city vibe. And it's only 2 hours away from Paris by train. In Lyon, If you want to go to a museum, check out Musée Lumière, which is the Lumière Museum. It talks about the history of photography and Lumière products in there. So really cool if you're into photography or videography. Now remember I told you could take the cable car up the mountain? Definitely do that, because the cable car is a part of your Metro Pass, and you can go up to this mountain, go up by the cathedral, and have this amazing view of Lyon. Amazing. But make sure you go up on a clear day, because it will not be worth your time going up there if it's cloudy or raining. Also, we want to go and check out Le Dome. Le Dome has this wonderful architecture, and it was voted, I think in 21, the world's best bar. They have drinks that are affordable to expensive drinks. They also have afternoon tea options. Lastly, if you're in Lyon, you should definitely check out Old Lyon. That's the old part of the city. Cobblestone streets, beautiful architecture. They have these historic passageways, secret passageways where you may or may not know that they exist unless you have a guide or you've done some research on them. You have wonderful stores, and you can find some wonderful traditional delicacies while you're in Lyon. Hey, you may want to take a food and walk into Old Lyon as well. Lastly, let's touch on Marseille. So in Marseille, definitely take a food tour. Like I mentioned, there are food influences, Mediterranean, North African. You have, your French cuisine, like all of that's mixed up in there. So you definitely want to take a food tour. A food tour will take you to some great spots and try different foods from different influences in that city. Now, I wasn't able to go out to the castle as it's on an island because I decided to sleep in, y'all. I was tired. So kind of disappointed I didn't go, but hey, I needed my sleep. I was beat from traveling to France. But go out to Chateau d'If. It is a wonderful castle experience, but you have to take a boat over to the island to check that out. Also, if you want a free option while you're in Marseille, go to Palais Longchamp. It was created to bring water into the city, but it is actually a beautiful architectural experience. You can get amazing photos there, and you will see a lot of locals there. I saw people actually like doing their homework, reading, and all types of stuff out there, but it's definitely worth going to get some photos. And lastly, make sure you go to the port. You can eat at the port, you can check out the boats at the dock, and just walk around and see what's around the port there. Now let's talk about the language. It is France. They speak French, okay? First language is French. What I have noticed in my experience, a lot of people do speak English in France, but you need to be respectful of their culture and their language. Do not go into a place expecting assimilate. It would be very respectful if you go into France and you know a few words in French. So obviously knowing bonjour, maybe knowing how to order something, or saying thank you, saying something in French. Obviously you don't need to go learn a whole new language, but say something to try. And usually in that experience, they end up switching to English. So I've had several instances where I have tried to speak French and they just switch to English because obviously my accent, or I speak in English and they don't respond in English, they respond in French. So obviously it depends on the person, but it's definitely respectful to go in and try to say at least a few words in French. Okay, now let's talk about where to stay in each of these cities. I'm going to give you one recommendation per city. Now, if you're in Paris, definitely stay at the Courtyard Marriott Gare de Lyon. I've stayed there twice now, both times a beautiful experience. It's right by the Gare de Lyon, which is the Lyon train station in Paris. And that means you have easy access to get down to the RATP metro system. And you can walk to different places. You can take the train, get ride sharing from there. You could walk to another train station, whatever. But I love the hotel. I love the staff. I love the security of that hotel. And I just love the rooms and the views. Great hotel. Now, if you're in Lyon, stay at the Lyon Sit International Marriott Hotel. Amazing staff. The rooms are huge. At least the room I was in was huge. I think I did get upgraded, so I don't know if all the rooms are like that. Huge room, very spacious, staff incredible. There's a lot of things going on in the hotel or in that immediate area. And you can also have easy access to the bus, which takes you right into the city, or to one of their metro lines. Lastly, in Marseille, you should stay at the Holiday Inn Express, Marseille St. Charles. This is a great hotel if you're transiting through Marseille. If you're just staying there a few days and you're gonna take the train somewhere else, stay there. This hotel is right near the train station, so you don't have to call an Uber or something to take you over. But it's also convenient to walk to the old port or other parts of Marseille from that hotel. Now the hotel, I had an amazing view of Marseille from the hotel. The room was cozy. Not my preferred. They had old looking carpet in there, and it is a non-smoking hotel, but someone was smoking in there. But once I called, they immediately fixed it because I can't take the smell of cigarette smoke coming in my room at all. It congests me and all that. But other than that, it's a pretty okay hotel. Okay, let's talk about some cautions. I'm just gonna tell you these cautions. That does not mean they're gonna happen to you, or they could. But it's good to be aware. If you are particularly in Paris, beware of pickpockets. You will actually see that sign in a lot of places, in the metro, by tourist attractions and everything. Be mindful of pickpockets. To protect yourself from pickpockets, make sure your bag is in the front. You don't have anything in your pocket. So bag in the front so you can watch, you can see, you can protect that bag, okay? Don't flash anything out. So keep your phone put up as much as possible. And if you have to hold onto your phone, I have a ring on my phone so it stays connected to my hand. Don't have money flashing around. Don't just throw money in your pocket. Don't throw your Metro card in your pocket. Also, they do have a lot of scams by the tourist attractions where they might come up to you and they'll ask if you speak English when they clearly don't, because you can tell by the accent that they speak French. They might ask you to see your cell phone. They might ask you if you want to take a survey. Just don't do it. If you're near the Eiffel Tower, Arc de Triomphe, any of those tourist attractions, just mind your own business and do what you need to do, because they're probably trying to pickpocket you. Also, another thing to worry about in France, or not worry about, but you may see rats, okay? I know Paris has rats. I've never seen one, fortunately. I've seen rats in New York City plenty of times. I have not seen one in Paris just yet. But what I wasn't expecting was the rats I saw in Marseille. One evening, I walked to the port, and this is November, so, it got dark earlier. And I'm walking back, and the amount of rats I saw on the street, one rat actually walked next to me for a long time. I was very concerned, y'all. But I was like, I'm just keep on going. I'm not gonna react. Don't react. Calm, just be calm, because then I don't want to set the rat off. Rat was walking with me like it was my dog. It was disgusting. I walked past rat colonies. It was disgusting, okay? Sick. But I never was bothered with a rat. I never went into a place where a rat was like eating food or anything in there, but you might run into some on the streets. Now, I know I focused on Marseille, Lyon, and Paris and giving a quick rundown on each of those cities. But if you're in France, I do highly suggest that you get outside of the cities and see other things like the countryside. France has an amazing wine country in Burgundy. I was able to go to Beaujolais and had some incredible wine. I actually only have one bottle left. Incredible wine. So going on a wine tour, going to some tastings, or you might go to see chateaus, castles in the countryside of France. Also, you could check out other smaller towns. I went to Avignon in France, and that was a cool experience. You got to see the French Pope Palace. You got to see some other historical things, try the local food, and see this really cute town doesn't have all the hustle and bustle of Paris or Lyon. Check out Arles. It's definitely a UNESCO World Site city. So many UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and Arles is the place where Van Gogh did a lot of his paintings, a lot of inspiration for his paintings, and it's really a picturesque city if you want to take photos there. So definitely enjoy Paris, enjoy Lyon, enjoy Marseille, go to Nice. That's also another beautiful part there. I haven't been there just yet, but check out things outside of the major cities. Next thing I want to talk about is entry into France. Again, I'm speaking from the US perspective here, but when you enter into France, in general, I would think this is for everyone, you need to have at least 6 months available before expiration on your passport, okay? If it is anything less, you may not be able to enter. If you're traveling to France from the US and you're going to be there only for 90 days or less within a 6-month period, you do not need a visa, but you only can be a tourist during that time. If you're looking to be there for some other reason like work, school, whatever, there's other visa options available. But next year, and they keep pushing this back, so it could push back again. In mid-2025, you will have to pay an ETIAS if you're a US citizen, and a lot of other countries that did not need a visa to enter into Europe. So you want to make sure you look into that so you won't have any travel disruptions going. But that's not going to be implemented until sometime 2025 if it's not pushed back again. Okay, lastly, let's talk about safety as a solo woman traveler who is African American. So mind you, I have to include this, or I like discussing this, because if you are a woman, you know some places in the world, even some places at home, are not always welcoming or safe for a woman, and same as being a Black person. So it's definitely important to touch on those things. And if you don't understand why, now you can see a different perspective from someone who is in these shoes, because maybe you're not part of one of these demographics, okay? But mind you, if you are one of these demographics, my experience could and should be different than your experience. What I experienced, what my perspective is, may or may not be different than yours. So keep that in mind and keep what I say in mind to help you when you go to France. So first of all, let's talk about safety as a woman. I walked around at night, Paris and Lyon during the day, night, both all 3 cities. I never had an issue. I never felt threatened. I never felt threatened from a male perspective or any random person along the street. Now, as a Black person, it's different. I've heard about racism in France. That's usually a hot topic about traveling to France, because some people are like, I don't want to travel there because of racism, or vice versa. I haven't experienced it. In my experience, fortunately, I'm usually seen as an American right off, but I've never gotten that racism. I do know, after reading through history, doing research, hearing from other people, that racism tends to come from or be focused towards people who more so look African. Not to say it's going to happen to every single person, but I have heard those stories from people I know in the travel space that has happened. I'm not trying to discount that from anyone who's experienced racism in France. Just know that different people may experience racism or not. All right, explorers, so I really hope you enjoyed this extensive France travel guide 2024 and knowing all the things you should know before you go to France. Obviously, there is a lot more I could put in this video. I could probably make another part 2, but I just wanted to give you a quick rundown to help you guide you on your way. So if you have any questions about this video, leave them down below. I will try to answer them for you or direct you to your answer. If you have any additional comments, leave them down below, but always keep it classy, because the non-classy ain't gonna get approved. We don't have time for the non-classy comments. Also, please make sure you hit that like button. If you are interested in seeing more of my France experiences, you can check out my France series, which I'll have linked down below. It's the entire playlist from all my trips to France, not just in 2023, but 22 and 2019. Also, if you have not already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's free for you to do so. It helps me provide more and better content to you in the future. And make sure you share this video with your friends, family, and social media networks, because they may want to learn a little bit more about France before they go as well. If you would love to support my business more, you can check out my merchandise shop or my blog, which is linked down below. And thank you so much for traveling to France with me over these past few months. I really enjoyed retelling and revisiting those memories. Au revoir, and see you in my next video.